welcome to the Godel pod. I'm Danielle. I am a part of the marketing and events team at Godel, and I'm here with Cara.
Hi, I'm Cara Goward. I'm the digital content marketer at Godel Technologies in the marketing team at Godel.
So we're here today with Nick Clarke, Communications and Fundraising Officer at the We Love Manchester charity. So Nick, would you like to introduce yourself and describe what the charity does?
Yeah, cheers for having us on. Nice to see you face to face after obviously abseiling exploits the other week. Yeah, so like I said, my name's Nick. I'm currently Communications and Fundraising Officer at the charity. I've actually been there since October 2018 now, the longest serving staff member when the charity took me on actually as a work placement. I was on universal credit and really struggling to find a job in the fields that I was really interested in. And the charity, I think it's fair to say, they practice what they preach. They give me a work placement, myself an apprenticeship, worked my way up, and yeah, here now in this role, which is fantastic, and getting to do brilliant things in the city that has made me and that I love. So yeah, I can't complain, I have to say. Yeah. So as a charity, we're primarily a grant giving charity. So that means that We Love Manchester provides funds for other groups and individuals, and we're the only one that exists solely to support activity in the city of Manchester. And this is because we were founded 25 years ago this year, actually, as the Lord Mayor of Manchester's charity. The one with all the bling on and everything that you see. And the sitting Lord Mayor is our chair of trustees of the charity until the mayorship changes every year. So yeah, very, very Manchester through and through. We've got two main grant funding programs, and that's what the majority of our charitable work consists of. The longest running one, over a decade now, it's called the Stronger Communities Fund. And it's where we empower, fantastic local volunteers, community groups, charities, all that, by funding them to deliver projects that they know will benefit the residents and spaces that make up what their community actually is. Unfortunately, out of the 300 odd local authorities in England, Manchester is ranked as the sixth most deprived. I think that was as of 2019, and it has been in the bottom 10 for a long time now. And that's not the fault of any of those of us who live here. We all know from our time spent here that our areas are full of top class people with great ideas and community spirit, but ultimately, financial barriers put massive limitations on what can be done. So our Stronger Communities Fund is all about We Love Manchester putting faith into our communities and allowing them to be the best that they can be. Only makes Manchester stronger at the end of the day. And there's a theme there, about allowing Manchester and Mancunians to be the best we can be whilst fighting those financial limitations that I think you'll see throughout our work when we talk later on about the second main grants programme that we've got, and that's the Manchester's Rising Stars Fund. So yeah, those are the two biggest grant programmes. Otherwise, as a charity, we want to be ready for anything that comes Manchester's way. I think it's fair to say, and support where we can, and I think you can see that in the best possible way for how we handled the COVID pandemic and Manchester's lockdown response. So I mean, well, first of all, it helps that we're a deceptively small team. I mean, you're speaking to a third of We Love Manchester staff right now. There's just the three of us, but which is great. It works in our favour a lot because of this. In COVID, we were able to completely change how we worked, even before full lockdown came into play, going to fully home working. And we made some massive changes to how we were going to continue to do exactly what we set out to do in the face of probably the biggest challenge that's faced the city in years and years, and support Manchester whenever and however it needed us. So I think as a charity, well, all charities really, we could see just how bad the impacts of COVID and the lockdown was going to be both locally and nationally. In times of hardship, I think it's fair to say, charity begins at home and donations will always withdraw, especially at a time when they're needed most, which is so unfortunate because of the vital services we all realise that charities actually provide in this country. So we did something unprecedented within a matter of days. This was still before, I think, Boris Johnson had put us into the first lockdown. We set up the COVID-19 Community Response Fund at the charity. So to award grants with a 48-hour approval process to those groups on the front line of Manchester's lockdown. And that's never been done before. I mean, 2 days. Normally it takes like a month for all this processing and applications where our trustees approval. We were, getting these grants out within 2 days. It was a scary amount of work, but it just had to be done. There's no other way about it. So we gave out just under £1 million to over 300 groups doing these vital services in the first 6 months of the pandemic. Food banks, law centres stopping illegal evictions that can lead to homelessness, domestic violence refuges, all sorts of advice centres and material support. Honestly, I mean, it feels like a bit of a blur now, but it was really full on for those first 6 months when need was in the highest demand because of people losing jobs and homes. And we did a survey of all the groups we supported, and it worked out that 50,000 people had been directly touched by support that we'd funded through the Community Response Fund, which is like 1 in 10 Mancunians. So, I mean, it really helps us know we'd done the right thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
just shows that like Manchester's spirit directly
absolutely
driven through you guys, that community that came together during the lockdown. And
exactly. So, I mean, similarly, like how we respond, if we're talking about how we respond as Manchester's own charity, like recently with the devastation in Ukraine and stuff, we set up the Manchester Ukraine Welcome Fund a couple months ago in partnership with the City Council, who kicked it off with a 50 grand donation. And this is to make the arrival of Ukrainian refugees to Manchester as welcoming as possible. And 2 grants have already been released to local charities with experience in this to allow the creation of dedicated support workers who are going to give that support to incoming, refugees. The first of which is actually starting next week. There's a long-standing Ukrainian community in North Manchester, and we're glad we've been able to coordinate, like you said, that public support into a way to make positive impacts on those affected. I know I've gone on a bit, but last thing, it's not all grants, one thing that I've personally been so chuffed we've been able to resume, this is after a 3-year break thanks to COVID, is this therapeutic family breaks program where we give Mancunian families who've been having a rough time of it for many reasons, the chance to go for a short break for a few days to Gill Head in the Lake District. Now, I don't know if any of you went to primary school in Manchester, but for most of us, it was a given that in year 6, as you're about to go into high school, you got to go to Gill Head with your whole year group for a few days away. And it's like an outdoor centre with right on Lake Windermere, and you get to just do loads of stuff as an inner city kid that you've never really done before, like going on zip wires, kayaking on the Lake Windermere, and spending time in a forest with your mates learning about bushcraft and stuff.
that sounds great.
Exactly. And that's exactly the same stuff that these kids and their families will be experiencing, although bear in mind, for me, that was in 2005 and none of us had phones. So, there's differences. And so with that, we work with the local Manchester City Council's like care team and the charity Bernardo's to make sure that local families who could really do with these breaks are offered that chance. And We Love Manchester funds their travel, overnight stays, and everything else to make sure it's as stress-free as possible and gives them positive experiences they can go on with. When I first came to the charity in 2018, one of the first things I did was reading the feedback from the last load of people that had gone, and honestly, the words genuinely made me cry. You've got adults there who've made friends for life and built support networks from the people that they've met on the break, and then Manchester kids who are experiencing this kind of outdoor stuff for the first time in their lives. And so, yeah, I'm beyond buzzing to say that we're resuming this next month, and that's long awaited. And so that's a bit of a snapshot. I mean, I say a snapshot, it was a long snapshot. It was more of a video shoot, right, of what we do. But it's a lot of stuff for a small team, but it's thanks to the support of people like yourselves and corporate partners, everything, we're able to do this work and keep going on to bigger and better things.
Oh, absolutely. Should be so proud of what you and your charity does. So that moves us on kind of to why we are here today, obviously. So on the 16th and 17th of July, 105, it might be more, Nick, you can tell me if that was actually more, but fundraisers over the course of 2 days competed in a 270-foot abseil at One Regent Tower in Castlefield. So myself and Danielle took part of that. with all money raised going directly to the We Love Manchester charity. So I've obviously got to ask this question. Last year, I know you did Walking on Fire at St. Peter's Square. So why abseiling this year? How did that come about?
Well, like you said, yeah, last October we did a never before done, right in the heart of town, city centre firewalk in St. Peter's Square, right outside Central Library actually. So I think it was about just over 50 odd people walking on 700-degree hot coals, yeah, to raise money for us again. And it was our first in-person fundraising event since 2019, again because of COVID and stuff like that. So I think it's fair to say like it had to be something special, and like, you know, remind everyone that We Love Manchester is here. You know, we're back and we're doing great things for the city that we love so much. So, and because it was so incredible, like I said, with a proper electric atmosphere, it gave us the kind of urge to, why don't we do something like this every year? You know, why don't we try and do an event that's, I don't know, the most mank, the most challenging possible, ridiculous. So yeah, but how could we beat that? I didn't have a clue, but we took some time, came up with a few ideas, and so, right at this in January we gave our supporters and the public a chance to vote through our friends at the Manc on their media platforms, to vote on what our next one would be, out of what our next challenge event would be out of 4. The options were ridiculous. One was a skinny dip on the coast or something.
We saw that one.
There was I think it was a dive off a 20-meter diving board or something, which I'll tell you what, that would look a lot taller than 270 foot if you were standing on it. And yeah, believe it or not, the skinny dip almost won, which makes me question Mancunian sometimes, but oh well, I'll leave that there. But yeah, thankfully the thrill of a city centre abseil won out, which gave us the challenge to, you know, how do we go about that and make that as exciting as the firework. And obviously an abseil in itself, an urban city centre, you know, tower abseil, that would just be great anyway. But well, how about we do the biggest top to bottom abseil Manchester's ever seen? We didn't realise that's what it was at first. I did a lot of intensive research going through the MEN back pages and stuff like that to find out if there'd ever been one done in a straight distance as long as that, and no, it never has. So yeah, that was crazy. But you guys did it. I didn't actually get to do it. So how did it feel for you?
Scary. Yeah, it was really rewarding, but
Yeah.
it was very scary. I think as well, because we'd been waiting for like quite a while for it to actually come round, and then it came to the day and we're like, oh yeah, I'm not ready. But it was amazing.
I think I didn't really think about it when we signed up, because I think it was at the time we registered for like the pre-release of the places, so we were straight on that, emailing. I think the communication was through yourself, Nick, and yeah, we were very keen, very eager, and then we got the email to say, you know, you probably will get a place, and then we got the email to say your place has been confirmed, fill out the form, do your Just Giving page, and then we were like, oh, okay, you know, we'll just raise some money, it's fine, we'll do it. And then it was as it got, people started asking, what are you up to this weekend? And then I was like, usually it's, you know, I'm chilling, I'm, you know, just going out, oh, I'm abseiling, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually happening now. So but no, like Danielle said, it on reflection, it was just so rewarding, probably the best experience I've ever done. And I think it being with everyone when you're in the waiting room, weren't it?
Yeah, it was a really good atmosphere. I think obviously everyone was feeling really nervous. Some people kind of seemed really excited and confident, but the majority of people were really nervous. But it was like such a good feeling afterwards. Like you just couldn't believe that it just happened. Like 1 minute you was at the top of a building looking down, like, oh my God, I might die. And then you're down, and yeah, it was so good.
Just kept thinking about it for like the rest of the, even now we still talk about it. Just at lunchtime we were just talking about it again and our experience, and oh, honestly, it was, yeah, it's great. How was it for you watching it? Like,
I mean, I was just on you know, as you can imagine, because this was I think this was the first event that I'd kind of promoted, recruited, done the stewardship process all the way through. So it's very much like my baby. And then, so when it actually came to it, I was just relieved. I was just overwhelmingly relieved. I was like, all right, great, this is happening now, finally. But no, it was to see so many people, like as nervous as people were in really good spirits on the Sunday. Yeah, and so I was just that it's a really tough thing, you know, to even just stand on the edge of where it was 26 stories up. You can see the entirety of, you can see the Pennines. It's that high up. It's everyone who even stood on the edge, let alone went down, showed an amazing amount of bravery. So I was just very like, wow. And all these people are doing it as well, obviously for the experience, but they're doing it, you know, raising money for our work, and it's a really really fulfilling feeling. That it's amazing. But yeah, but that's exactly the fact that you're still talking about it days, weeks after. That's what we want, you know, something special every time. And yeah, so that's gives us an inkling for next year maybe, and we'll see. We'll have a chat about that later maybe.
I know you've got to do something big to top this one.
Honestly, you know, the obvious one, people are saying, oh, do skydiving, but that is just ridiculous. It costs too much.
That's at lunch.
Yeah. Oh no, it costs, apparently, from what I've heard anyway, I've never done it myself. It costs too much money. It is it's oh I trust professionals taking people down an abseil who've been doing it for decades. I'll never trust anyone that tells me it's okay to jump out of a plane. So yeah, we'll scratch that. We'll not do a height-based one, I think, next year.
Fair enough. So in total, I think we've like raised collectively over 30,000. I think it's at 36,000 when I checked. Where's that money going to go? Or like, is that planned, or is it going to go in a few places?
Yeah, so yeah, at the moment I think it's just nearly at, including all of the costs and including all the other donations, it's looking like it may be our biggest ever. I think it is already our biggest ever fundraising total, like gross total, which at 839 nearly thousand, which is amazing. We've never had something that big. It's just that's incredible. We're so chuffed and proud of all the supporters. It's so many went above and beyond. You guys yourselves did brilliantly. The money, so all of our fundraising events, everything raised from all of our fundraising events will always go to keep making sure that those two biggest programs, the ones that do the most good work for Manchester, can keep going as long as possible. So the Strong Communities Fund and the Manchester's Rising Stars Fund. So we award grants every single month, but just last week we had our quarterly board of trustees meeting. So I can give you some of the most fresh examples from the Strong Communities Fund. And the first one that really, to me, encapsulates what it's all about is we awarded to a community group in Wythenshawe called Happy Some Days, that are actually an inclusive football club in Wythenshawe for people who, and this in their own words, don't fit the norm or a certain social circle, and to go to, you know, your regular football club. And what started as a kickabout for anyone has grown into like regular sessions with more than 400 participants in total, and every week they get 100 people, which is a huge number of people doing local community sports and stuff like that. They've got ladies, men's, mixed football sessions, and they're even expanding to offer fitness sessions with proper personal training, which is amazing. So their sessions are mostly self-sustaining, you know, participants pay subs, but they also employ an honesty policy to allow for people who can't afford every session, because that's the way things are, unfortunately, like I said, in our communities. So in order to take a bit of that stress off them, we've awarded them with £4,000 to cover their pitch costs for an entire 12 months. So for a whole year, that's a massive cost they'd have really struggled to come up with on their own. It's now not a worry, and they can continue looking after each other and showing what community is all about, which is brilliant. And another one which will be close to you guys. So in one of the other last week ones, we awarded to Manchester Youthzone. I think it's just under 4,000, to enhance and expand their work in support of their LGBTQ plus members, and providing educational resources and loads of great stuff that they're really well placed to do with such a top youth institution there in North Manchester. I'm sure you'll hear more from Manchester Youthzone themselves on, because I think it's at Godel you partnered with them. You know, I loved Adam Farrock on the last podcast as well. But yeah, so we're all about celebrating Manchester's communities in all the ways that they present themselves, and I think you see it in the breadth of projects we support and give funding to. Yeah, you two, like I said, you two collectively raised just under £1,000, I think, when you include gift aid, which is amazing. So, and we regularly award grants of that amount to change the lives and prospects of talented young monks through that Manchester Rising Stars Fund. So yeah, like I said, you're both making massive individual differences there.
No, that's great, because like you said, yeah, Godel Technologies have been a founder patron since 2019, so
Yeah,
we regularly see from that end what this money and this support for Manchester's doing for like the young people of Manchester, and supporting career prospects, the confidence, you know, giving them opportunities that they might not have just had before. So yeah, we see that every day when we see the news coming in from Adam about, you know, what's being done. So
fantastic. Well, so that links in. That's what. So the one I was didn't mention before, the Manchester's Rising Stars Fund. This is most recent big program, but it's by far one of the most important. Um, it exists to award talented, ambitious young Mancunians who are unfortunately experiencing a bit of disadvantage through no fault of their own, with the resources or training or equipment or whatever they need to reach the ambitions that they've set for themselves. We don't give cash directly to them. We'll buy the stuff for them. So if they need a specific laptop with some software, if they're, for example, an aspiring graphic designer, or if they're a apprentice mechanic and they need a tool bag, but there's no way they'd be able to afford it because because of parent situation, stuff like that. It stops funds being a barrier to young people making the best out of their talents, and I think that is so important. Like you were saying there with you, so one of the best things about it is like I said, that's what we like to do as a charity. We like to link together all the rest of the city. And I think that's what we're all about. The we in We Love Manchester is really important. It's really important. So in the Rising Stars Fund, we have a fantastic referral partner network, which is people like groups like Manchester Youthzone, the areas of the council in terms like the Leaving Care Service, I don't know, City in the Community, 84 Youth in Moss Side. These are even some of the Manchester College. How can I forget them? The Manchester College is one of our biggest referral partners. What that means is that we can get trusted referrals from groups who've been doing this great work with young people in Manchester for years, who will, with a referee's quote, who will let us know exactly about this young person, and we speak to them. We get a bit of an in-depth thing about them, and learn how we could help them, if we could help them more or in a different way and stuff like that. And like I said, just giving young people not depriving them, basically, not depriving them of their own future, really, that they could reach themselves. It's like even me with this placement. If I hadn't been given this placement, I don't know where I would have been. But so it's nice that it runs all the way through what we do with these young people now at the Rising Stars Fund. So honestly, like I said, some of it, don't get wrong, some of the awards we give are a few grand. I'm trying to think. There were there were these brilliant. You may have seen them actually on Saturday. There were these two lads, Samuel and Ethan, two young lads from Wally Range, from Wally Range Hume, and they're aspiring drone photographers. They've actually already got a drone business. They started themselves. So this is what I mean. Like, we're not just giving people things that they've shown no interest in, no experience in, no talent, no ambition, whatever. It's if they're already on their path, but they can't go any further because of X reasons, whether it's the parents' employment status or disability or other sort of things. They are incredible. We bought them the proper. We're helping them set up the business in a more rounded way with the marketing and stuff like that, and introducing them to other potential accounts. gave them a drone and awarded them another top quality drone and the correct. Sorry, I'm getting a bit slower here as I'm trying to actually remember what the right insurance and licensing and everything they need, to make sure that they're a fully fledged proper business going by the book. And that, and like you said, you saw them at the ab sale doing some incredible, doing some brilliant photography and videography for us. So we'll then give, and we paid them for that, and we'll give them opportunities still going forward. But then that's on the higher end. On the lower end, recently we supported a lad with £200 for a CSCS card, an application, which is like a qualification that you need to be able to work on construction sites. For some people, like small amounts of money, huge amounts of money, it's completely an element of perspective. And like we said, the way that things are at the moment, not just in Manchester nationally, but Manchester has it tough, and Mancunians have it tough. I think 40% at the most recent, 40% even more in the most recent stats of Manchester kids are growing up in poverty or relative poverty, which is awful. And it would be a shame if we couldn't do everything that we could to help break that and to help these kids reach the ambitions that they're able to reach. So yeah, the funds that you raised will directly, like I say, you could afford a couple of grants like that. We get out, we try to get out between 10 and a dozen a month, and the amount we can give only depends on how much we can raise. And yeah, so thank you again.
No, it's really nice to hear where that money's going. I know some of maybe sometimes large charity organisations, you don't always see the end point of, you're raising obviously amazing money, but you don't know where that's going to land. So it's amazing hearing that from you about who that's helping, and even people that are starting their own businesses.
Yeah,
that is, I mean, we did see that, and I'm not sure if I want to see the footage of me trying to clamber down a building.
no, it is amazing the fact that you as a charity are giving people either experience, which is going to help them with the future, or just opportunities so they can grow their career and have things to look forward to in the future and build their own businesses. It is amazing.
No, we really appreciate that. Like I said, we couldn't do what we did without people like yourselves doing doing crazy things like the ab sales. So really, really appreciate you guys for that.
No, we were so happy to be part of it. So one question I have for you, we kind of touched on it, but you didn't give too much away. So we want to know what's next. I'm not sure if you know, but have you got any ideas for future events?
We've got some ideas, but I'm very glad that it's a nice little, we've got a couple of months to decide, before we get cracking with what's 2023's challenge going to be. I will say though, this is the whole point of it. It's a collaborative process. We listen to people, we listen to our supporters, listen to Manchester. If you've got an idea, let us know. We're hearing everything. Skydive out of the question. I'll just let you all know that for definite. But yeah, if you've got an interest, I think there's I'll let slip that I think there is an element of potentially very, very, very cold immersion happening. Maybe that's something that we're thinking of. Think when footballers finish a match and go into an ice bath.
Yeah.
Maybe things, something along the lines of that, but we're not. I don't know. We're open to ideas. Trust me. Throw them at me. Get everyone throw them at us and make it, and think of how you can make it, Mank.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if you could do something involving bees.
Oh yeah.
Was it? You know what? That's that's really funny. A few months ago, did you know that Manchester City Council actually has some of its own hives, and they have their own beekeepers?
No,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think it's in the Hooper Street depot in Openshaw, Odenshaw, in East Manchester. Yeah, they have their own hives, and they started selling off the honey, and they gave us the proceeds from the honey this year, which is amazing. So they came into the Lord Mayor's parlour and had a picture handing over the little jarred honey, and that was amazing. So you know what? If anyone could do something with bees legally, it would probably be us. But also, I don't know. I don't know if the RSPCA may get involved.
I just really like that Danielle suggested bees. So whoever's listening to this and we're doing a bee related activity next year, we all know who to thank for this suggestion. So it is live on this podcast as we speak.
I'm really gonna have to speak to these beekeepers about what's the scope for getting the public involved with a swarm of bees.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
What event has been your favourite so far in the ones that you've done? I know the ones maybe on the lead up to COVID or even any that you did during lockdown.
Well, like I said, because of lockdown, it was hard. It was a tough one. We tried, we did do a landmarks of Manchester sort of a 10K thing where, when people are allowed to go out and do their own thing individually and not as groups. That was a really fun one. We got people going past Manchester, a proper 10K route drawn up on a map past Manchester landmarks, like, City's old stadium, Main Road in Moss Side, the Vimto statue in yeah, in the gardens in town, loads of stuff. But I really liked. This is why this year has been really busy for us in terms of events. 2 months ago, we did the Great Manchester Run, a VIP experience, allowed let people into the town hall and had a bit of, a bit of drink, used the toilet facilities because the Great Manchester Run, a great event, but logistically it's tough finding anywhere to go, hide, keeping your bags. We let people in for that. We did that. And then last month, before the abseil, we did the Three Peaks of Yorkshire for our corporate partners. So we had 104, so one less than the abseil officially. So that made the abseil our biggest ever event. But 104 people doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks like in under 12 hours. That was incredible. It was incredible because I didn't get to do it because I was just stood at the side giving them water bottles and that. That was great. I loved that because 3 years prior we did the National Three Peaks with Manchester City Council's leadership team. That was really, really tough. I don't ever want to do that again. I'm glad to say I've done it. I never want to see Ben Nevis. No, that was the worst. Managed to make it in 23 hours, 55 minutes, so 5 minutes to go. But I don't know if it's about a favorite. I think my favorite event is always the next one that we've not done yet. So there you go. That's a politician's answer.
No, well, we're looking forward to hearing what it is and knowing what other amazing work that can be done for helping the charity.
Yeah. Just
So,
reminded me actually, sorry, apologies.
no problem.
We've sort of got one left this year, but it's a bit of a it's going back to both Gilhead and Manchester Youthzone. So in collaboration with Manchester Youthzone, we're doing a really exclusive, like I mentioned, all the things that you can do at Gilhead, like say kayaking and on the lakes, all these sort of things, really exciting, thrilling sort of like team challenge for just, I think it's 8 teams. Yeah, 8 teams will be going against each other from corporates in Manchester. They'll put forward a team. It includes an overnight stay, everything. I think that's in a month and a half, maybe October, September, I think. Yeah. So half the proceeds are going to us and half the proceeds going to Manchester Youthzone. So that's going to be a really exciting one, but unfortunately not for the public. So we'll have to wait till next year.
Oh, it sounds great though, and you definitely had a busy couple of years and a couple of months especially.
Yeah, definitely. This is next year maybe we'll try and space out the events, but as you know, we don't get many weeks of guaranteed half decent weather in Manchester, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
abseiling in November, I'm not sure would have had
exactly
the same effect as.
exactly. It got paused for half an hour on Sunday because of the wind. So
Oh,
Really?
yeah, worrying, but not for you guys. So that's great.
no, it's fine. We got away with it. So I've got one last question from me. Not really a question, but so please describe that We Love Manchester charity in 3 words.
Okay. Like I said before about the we element of it, I think togetherness, straight up togetherness. It's all about what can we do together as a city, as a charity and fundraisers. Belief in our communities, belief in the young people that yes, they can do everything. They just need the right support sometimes. And 3, determination, because we're determined to go through these ridiculous fundraising events, but also determined to, like I say, face up to whatever Manchester has gets thrown at it. So yeah, I've not been asked a question like that before, so that's a nice one.
No, fantastic.
Thank you so much for your time, Nick, and for giving us such a great insight into the Wheel of Manchester charity, and for all of the work that you continue to do to help improve the lives of, you know, local people and communities. It's amazing, and we're so thankful for being able to participate in the abseil. It's something that we will never forget. So
Absolutely not.
thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, Danielle. Thanks, Cara.
No problem. It was lovely to meet you.
You too. I'm sure we'll see you again at the next, whatever the next thing is, or if you're a bit bored of that sort of stuff, we'll be doing the Great Manchester Run VIP offer again next year. So there's always that.
No, bring it on.
I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Definitely, I hope so.
Thank you for listening to this instalment of the Godel Pod. If you like what you hear and would like to know when we're releasing more, please subscribe to the Godel page on Podbeam and Spotify.